You're 200,000 miles from Earth, floating in a tin can with two other people. No gravity, no escape, no way home if something goes wrong, and then you hear it, a bang. Loud enough to shake the entire spacecraft. Alarms start screaming. The cabin pressure is dropping. Your oxygen is venting into space. And mission control says something that makes your blood run cold. We're not going to the moon anymore. We're just trying to get you home alive. This is Apollo 13, April 1970. And what happened next tested the limits of human ingenuity. April 11, 1970. 3 astronauts climb into Apollo 13. Commander Jim Lovell, already a veteran of 3 space missions. Fred Hayes, lunar module pilot. And Jack Swigert, command module pilot who got the job only 2 days before launch. Why 2 days? Because the original pilot, Ken Mattingly, was exposed to measles and didn't have immunity. NASA couldn't risk him getting sick in space. So Swigert steps in. No time to fully train. Just go. Their mission? Land on the moon's Fra Mauro Highlands. Explore the Imbrium Basin. Conduct geological experiments. Bring back samples. It was supposed to be the 3rd lunar landing. Routine almost. The Saturn V rocket launches perfectly. They reach orbit. Everything's going according to plan. For the first 2 days, the mission is boring. Smooth. So smooth that mission control says, quote, "We're bored to tears down here." On day 2, the crew does a TV broadcast from space, showing viewers back on Earth how they live and work in weightlessness. It's casual, fun, even. They sign off at 55 hours and 46 minutes into the mission. 9 minutes later, everything changes. 55 hours, 55 minutes into the flight. Jack Swigert is in the command module. He's been asked to do a routine task, stir the oxygen tanks. It's standard procedure. Keeps the oxygen from stratifying. He flips the switch, and the entire spacecraft shakes. A loud bang. Master alarm sounding. Warning lights everywhere. 2 minutes later, Jim Lovell radios mission control. Houston, we've had a problem. Not we have a problem. Past tense. Because whatever just happened. Already happened. Mission control scrambles. What's going on up there? Lovell looks out the window. And what he sees makes his stomach drop. Gas. Venting into space. A cloud of white vapor streaming from the side of their spacecraft. Oxygen tank number 2 has exploded. Not just failed, exploded, ruptured. Both oxygen tanks are now venting their contents into the vacuum of space. And here's the problem. The command module needs oxygen for 3 things: breathing, water, and electricity. The fuel cells that power the spacecraft? They mix oxygen and hydrogen to create electricity. No oxygen, no power. No power, no life support. No life support, and you're dead in a few hours. The crew is 200,000 miles from Earth, halfway to the moon, and they're running out of time. Mission control goes silent for a moment. Then flight director Gene Kranz says something that changes everything. We're not going to the moon. Forget the landing. We need to figure out how to get them home. But here's the problem. They can't just turn around. Space doesn't work like that. You can't hit the brakes. You can't make a U-turn. Apollo 13 is already on a trajectory toward the moon. And the safest way home? Keep going. Use the moon's gravity to slingshot them back to Earth. It's called a free return trajectory. But there's another problem. The command module, Odyssey, is dying. Power is draining. Oxygen levels dropping. It's becoming a coffin. So mission control makes a call. Move into the lunar module. The lunar module, Aquarius, was designed to land 2 astronauts on the moon for 2 days. That's it. 2 people. 2 days. Now it has to support 3 people for 4 days. And keep them alive long enough to get home. The astronauts power down Odyssey to save its batteries for re-entry. They squeeze into Aquarius. And that's when the nightmare really begins. Inside Aquarius, it's freezing. To conserve power, they shut off the heaters. The temperature drops to 38 degrees Fahrenheit, just above freezing. The walls are wet, condensation everywhere. Their breath turns to fog. They're shivering, exhausted, sleep-deprived. Fred Hayes develops a kidney infection. His fever spikes. But there's nothing they can do. No medical equipment. No antibiotics. Just wait, water is rationed. 6 ounces per person per day. That's less than a cup. They're dehydrated, cold, sick. But the biggest problem? Carbon dioxide. Humans exhale CO2, and if it builds up in a confined space, it becomes toxic. You get dizzy, confused. Eventually you pass out and die. The lunar module has filters, lithium hydroxide canisters, that scrub CO2 from the air. But they're running out. The command module has backup canisters. But here's the problem, they're square. The lunar module slots? Round. Square canisters, round holes. And CO2 levels are rising fast. What I'm about to describe is a historical engineering solution. In any life-threatening situation, always follow professional emergency protocols. Mission Control gets to work. Engineers on the ground gather materials, plastic bags, cardboard, duct tape, hoses, anything that's available on the spacecraft. They build a makeshift adapter, test it, make sure it works. Then they radio instructions to the crew, step by step. Take this, attach it here, tape it like this. The astronauts follow along. Building this cobbled-together device in zero gravity, it takes about an hour, and then it works. The CO2 levels drop. The crew can breathe again. It's not elegant, but it's genius. April 15th. Apollo 13 swings around the far side of the moon. They're now farther from Earth than any humans have ever been. 248,655 miles, a world record, but not one anyone wanted. They fire the lunar module's descent engine, a 5-minute burn, using the sun as an alignment point because their navigation systems are compromised. It works. They're on course for Earth, but they still have 3 days to go. 3 days in freezing temperatures, rationed water, dwindling power. On April 17th, 6 days after launch, they approach Earth. First, they jettison the service module. As it drifts away, they take photos, and what they see is shocking. An entire panel blown off. The side of the spacecraft mangled, exposed, destroyed. If that explosion had happened just a little differently, they would have died instantly. Then they jettison Aquarius, the lunar module that saved their lives. It drifts away, burns up in the atmosphere. The crew moves back into Odyssey. They power it up using the emergency batteries they saved. Now comes the hardest part, re-entry. They have to hit the atmosphere at exactly the right angle. Too steep, they burn up. Too shallow, they skip off into space and never come back. No one knows if Odyssey, damaged, cold, moisture-soaked, will even work. The capsule enters the atmosphere. Communications cut out, blackout, standard procedure. But the blackout lasts longer than expected. Mission Control waits. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3, silence, and then, Odyssey, do you copy? Static, more waiting. And finally, parachutes. The capsule splashes down in the Pacific Ocean, right on target. All 3 astronauts, alive. So how did they survive? It wasn't luck. It was teamwork. Hundreds of engineers at Mission Control, working around the clock, running simulations, testing solutions, solving problems in real time. The astronauts in space, staying calm under unimaginable pressure, following instructions, trusting the process. Spacecraft manufacturers, contributing ideas, offering technical insights. Everyone working together. No egos. No blame. Just solve the problem. And here's what people don't talk about enough. The explosion was preventable. A post-mission investigation found the cause. Back in 1965, NASA upgraded the oxygen tank heaters from 28 volts to 65 volts. But someone forgot to upgrade the thermostatic switches. During a ground test 2 weeks before launch, those switches overheated, damaged the insulation, created a fire hazard. Warning signs were there, but they were ignored. And on April 13, 1970, to 200,000 miles from Earth, that damaged tank exploded. The mission failed because of a 2-inch part that cost a few dollars. But the crew survived because of human ingenuity, determination, and refusal to give up. Apollo 13 is called a successful failure. They didn't land on the moon, but they brought everyone home alive. And in the process, they proved something more important. When things go catastrophically wrong, the only thing that matters is how you respond. Here's what Apollo 13 teaches us. You can do everything right and still have something go horribly wrong. You can prepare, you can train, you can test every system twice. And one tiny overlooked detail can bring the whole thing crashing down. But that's not the end of the story. Because the difference between disaster and survival isn't about avoiding problems. It's about solving them, in real time, under pressure. With incomplete information, the Apollo 13 crew didn't panic. They didn't freeze. They didn't give up. They just kept moving. One problem at a time. One decision at a time. Mission Control didn't point fingers. They didn't waste time on blame. They just focused on the solution. And that's the lesson. When everything falls apart, you don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stay calm, trust your team, and keep solving the next problem in front of you. That's not just survival, that's leadership. So if you made it this far, you're the kind of person who appreciates stories where human beings face impossible odds and somehow find a way through. And if you want more stories like this, the kind that remind you what people are capable of when everything's on the line, hit that subscribe button. Because the next mission I'm uncovering, it's even more unbelievable than this one. You don't want to miss it.